Shri Yudapada Kamalam,
Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha,
Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha,
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam,
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam,
Sahagana Raghunatvitam Tam Sajivam,
Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam,
Sattvedam Savadhutam,
Satvaitam Savadutam,
Parijana Shri Chaitanya, Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam,
Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam,
Radha Krishna Padan,
Shri Radha Krishna Padan,
Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha,
Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha,
He Krishna Karuna Sindhu,
He Krishna Karuna Sindhu,
Deenabandhu Jagatpate,
Deenabandhu Jagatpate,
Gopesha Gopika Kanta,
Gopisha Gopika Kanta,
Radha Kanta Namostute,
Radha Kanta Namostute,
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi,
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi,
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari,
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari,
Vishabhanu Sute Devi,
Vishabhanusute Devi,
Pranamami Hari Priye,
Pranamami Hari Priye,
Panchakalpatarubhyascha,
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha,
Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha,
Kripa Sindhubhaya cha,
Patitanam Pavanebhyo,
Patitanam Pavanebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda,
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kruti, thank you very much. We are very honored to have Prashanta Mataji amongst us. Mataji, welcome to this group. Dandvat Pranam to you.
Hare Krishna.
I saw you, but we had already started the Manglacharan, so I apologize. We didn't stop. We wanted to finish before we give the podium to you. I apologize that you had to wait for some time.
No, it was very beautiful to hear.
Thank you very much, Mataji. We want everybody to learn Manglacharan. So this is our daily practice. One of our children start us with Manglacharan. So on behalf of everybody, I welcome you to this session. We are on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Karma Yoga, text 27. Thank you, Mataji. Over to you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, we'll sing for 2-3 minutes and then we'll go to the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Mataji.
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shiva Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Shiva Prabhupada, Jaya Radha 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 Jaya Radha 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 Hari Ram, Hari Ram, Hari Ram, Hari Ram, Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhav Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnanandjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamai Dadati Swakadantikam. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So today we are, you've been having many lessons. I think we have reached already verse 27 in chapter 3. Very nice to see the progress. And so this chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. Sri Krishna is working through all the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita to make us understand that we should both for material and spiritual progress, we should take the path of action. We should not try the path of inaction. Some people advocate that we should renounce everything. We should just go in some cave somewhere in some mountains or in the jungle, and we should stop all activities because whatever we do brings reactions, and reactions mean to perpetrate our life in this world. But Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita that there are different forms of action. And there is such kind of action which, when it is performed, does not bring material reactions, but opens the path of liberation. And Krishna wants us to take that path. So, of course, it begins with, we heard before, Krishna in the second chapter was instigating Arjuna to take up the fight because it is his duty as a Kshatriya. He simply wanted him to perform his prescribed duties, his duties as a part of the rulership, as a protector of the people, as a protector of religion, of dharma. So he wanted to fight and told him, if you follow your duty as per the scriptures, the result will be positive. You will enjoy, which is what everyone mostly wants to do. So this is one form of action, and it's called karma. When we act rightfully in the proper way, and the result of that will be positive. We will have only positive results from it. We, as I say, we become wealthy, healthy, and wise. But in chapter 3, Krishna moves on to a different kind of activity, which is not only that you perform your duties, but also you dedicate the results to Lord Vishnu, who is called in this chapter Yajna. Yagyartat karmani. You should act actually for the benefit of Lord Vishnu. And by doing so, instead of getting favorable, positive material reactions, you will get liberation in due course of time. There will be no reaction. This kind of work is called akarma, means a work which does not give us material reactions, because material reactions means in order to enjoy the fruit of our activities, we have to live just a little longer, and we have to come back next life to get the result of the good activities that we have performed in this life. And this is not what the intelligent person wants to do. The intelligent person understands that this world is a temporary place where we have been placed simply to learn. It is a school, actually. This world is a school, and we are here to learn what is our true nature and our true identity. So in this chapter, we are encouraged to actually sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. We have been told that we are not independent. Krishna has described in verses 14 and 15 the cycle of dependence on the Lord. How can we believe ourselves to be independent of the Lord? We are depending on food. First of all, this body is depending on food. And how does the food come? Now, it's very interesting. I remember when I was in university in Paris, I had so many students, co-students. We were studying together. I had the great good fortune of being born in the countryside. So if you ask me where does milk come from, I'll tell you, well, it comes from the cow. But I was one day discussing with a a boy who was by then 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, and who had spent all his life in the city. So to the answer, where does milk come from? His answer was, it comes from the store. It comes from the store, it comes from the packet. And what actually milk is and what's behind the packet, that he had hardly any clue. So we are like this in this world, and today we are going to study that verse, which is actually explains the consciousness of the ignorant people. What is the consciousness of the ignorant people? The first thing is this, is that they think themselves completely independent. They do not see how we are actually dependent on so many things around us. We are dependent on the sun to see. We are dependent on the water to taste. So we are not independent, but we think ourselves so. So today we'll read the verse. It's a very beautiful verse, a very famous verse, and Srila Prabhupada quoted it extensively. So it says like this, Prakrite kriyamanani, it is verse number 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti madhyate. So this is a verse describing the ignorant and the consciousness of the ignorant. The ignorant here is named Vimudha. You must have come across this word already, Mudha. Mudha means a fool. And Vimudha is a great fool. So let us hear the consciousness here of the Vimudha. Srila Prabhupada has translated the spirit soul that is actually the actual person, bewildered by the influence of ahankara, the false ego. What is the false ego? Ego is there. Ego means the personality, the person. I am, I exist, I am a person. That is the ego. But I am the soul. That is the real ego. The beginning of understanding the real identity. However, when I think ahankara means actually the false ego. Srila Prabhupada sometimes was joking and he said ahankara means I am car, I am car, I am car. I am the car. When we have an accident on the street and one car hits our car, very easily you'll see the driver comes out red in anger and says, you hit me. You hit me. In other words, he's identified with the car as himself. I am car. And he thinks that he himself has been hurt when actually only the car has been hurt. So this is the consciousness of one who is bewildered. The spiritual bewildered by a false concept of his own identity. Thinks himself the doer. The doer. The doer here, the word for doer is karta. The karta. It's the same root as karma. Karma means the action, and karta means the performer of the action. So he thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So this is the false understanding of the bewildered person. Srila Prabhupada goes on, we'll read the purport quickly, it's not very long. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, they are working on the same level, meaning they are doing the same thing. So they may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective position. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently. And that is the symptom of his niscience. So to think oneself independent, that is ignorance. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. But the ignorant does not see that. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesh, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So this is a very pathetic situation, but unfortunately this verse describes what Prabhupada will say 99.9% of the population of the world. So the first symptom or the first ingredient of that ignorance, that position of ignorance, is forgetfulness. Forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna. We get lost in the material world. We become atheists. Some people they just don't even accept that there is a God. In the modern society, this is very common. Well, they'll say so many things. Even if there was a God in the beginning, by now he would be very old, so he must have passed away. Srila Prabhupada always pointed out the mistake in Angelo, this great painter, Italian painter, was asked to paint God. So what did he do? He thought, he used his power of contemplation, his intelligence, and he thought to represent God. How can he look? He hadn't read the descriptions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna and his lotus face and his lotus side and his bluish complexion and his beautiful hands, which are like newly grown twigs, very delicate, how he's reddish in different parts of his body, how he looks like a human person, or rather the other way around, humans are made after him. So he didn't have access to all this information. So he thought for a long time, and then he started painting. And what did he paint? He painted an old man. That was his concept of God, that because God was there from the beginning, And we have been here for eons, that is for such a long time. So therefore, God must look very old. Okay, but at least it is better to think of God as an old man than to think that there's no God at all. So unfortunately, the consciousness of the ignorant is that of forgetfulness. We have forgotten. And some people not only have forgotten whether I'm a friend of God, or whether I'm a lover of God, or whether I'm a parent of God. Not only they have forgotten their specific spiritual identity, but they don't even remember that they are the spirit. Now, this is the case of 99% of the people in this world. If you ask them and try to tell them that you are not this body, they call the police to put you in the madhouse, because they just cannot grasp that very simple fact. So not only we don't know our relationship with Krishna, but we don't even know that we are the spirit. So this is we have forgotten. And it goes even further than that some people deny the existence of God. That there is no God. There is no God at all. They do not believe in God. So this is the deepest forgetfulness. Not only you don't remember who you are in relationship to God, but you don't even remember that such a person exists. So this is a big bewilderment here. Prabhupada uses the word bewilderment. Completely bewildered. So this is the first part of the consciousness of the ignorant. Then the second part is, we said already, that one, he forgets the Lord. Two, he cannot distinguish himself from the body. So he forgot his spiritual identity, that I am the soul. That is forgotten. So I was already speaking about that. Then the next thing is that proceeding from the fact that there is no God, then I am free, I am independent. So this is the other part of ignorance, thinking oneself to be independent. Not seeing how we are so controlled. We are completely entangled in the actions and reactions of material nature. You know, we were hearing that the stars have become inauspicious, the constellations, the position of the stars have become inauspicious, and see what is happening in the world. There is chaos. And the astrologers will relate this to the position of the planets and the stars. We could say that this universe, you see, it functions like an ancient mechanical clock. Now clocks are electronic, but before we had mechanical clocks. And how they would work is that in a little box, there were many, chakras, or little circles of different wheels, actually. It was just a combination of many wheels. Then on the side of the box, you have one little button, which turns like a little wheel. And when you turn it, you know, you open the box and you look inside, this little wheel is connected to a wheel inside, which starts turning. And then connected to that wheel, there is another wheel, which starts turning also. And then this one, that one, this one, that one. So many wheels are connected to each other. And when you look at the watch from the other side, the front side, you don't see all these wheels and how they are interconnected with each other and how they are turning. One is going forward, one is going backward, one is a small wheel that's going very fast, one is a big wheel that's going very slow. When you look at the front side of the clock, the only thing you see and slowly, 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 they are also moving in a circle. And slowly, slowly, the two sticks and the clock are moving. That's the only thing you see. But what's behind? Behind is a complete mechanism, an intelligent design. So this is the universe. As soon as the moon becomes full, people become crazy. Those who have a mental disorder, when there is full moon, they become more crazy. As soon as the sun rises, everybody wakes up. And the whole world becomes active. As soon as the sun sets, most people, normal people, go to sleep. So we are completely controlled and involved with the universe around us. But the fools will deny this and will say that we are independent. As I said before, Krishna explained how the body is made of anna, or grains, of food. And this food exists only because there is the rain. And the rain, how does the rain come? So the scientists will explain you is, interactions of heat and cold and different things, how rain is formed. But actually, Prabhupada explains, according to the Bhagavad Gita, that rain comes from sacrifice. Rain is life-giving. Wherever there is no rain, everything turns into a desert. Food does not grow, so people cannot live there. So there is a complete dependence that we are experiencing. We are experiencing that complete dependence. But the fools, the mudha, they think they are independent. I am doing what I want, when I want, the way I want, with whom I want. It's all about me. And no one can stop me. So this is this sense that I am independent. Everything depends on my performance, on me. There is no God. There is no one in control. Everything either happens by chance or it happens by my efforts. This is the understanding of the ignorant. And then Prabhupada explains that the ignorant, he takes credit. Who did it? Me. He takes credit for what he's doing. So we have to be very careful of this, because this kind of consciousness, we cannot say exactly that it is somebody else's that is full. Vimuda's consciousness, and I am not in that kind of consciousness. Yes, Prabhupada explains in the purport that one who acts in Krishna consciousness and one who acts for sense gratification, they are very different. And the type, their consciousness is different, and the type of work they perform is also different. And the result that they will obtain is also different. So we are taking the credit in ignorance. We take the credit for everything that we do. I did it. And this takes us to so many paths in this world. Like, I did it. That's my understanding. And then no one appreciates. So that will generate some difficulty in myself. No one appreciates it. So I feel bad. Kartahamiti manyate. He thinks himself. Actually, we are not the doer. And there is this exploration has started now in chapter 3. It will carry on to chapter 4, chapter 5. Who is the doer of all actions? So here it is denied that the soul is actually the doer, because activities are carried out through the material body, and we are not the material body. So, but the ignorant fool takes credit for his activities, his own action. Who did it? Me. This is very common. This means that we are, we are ignoring Krishna's presence. And then, what kind of activities does such person, such foolish person, enact? So there it says that such foolish person is engaged in selfish work, work which bring profit to himself, to what he thinks to be himself. He thinks I am this body, and there is no understanding. There's no understanding of the dependence on the laws of nature, the dependence on the mercy of Krishna. That understanding is not there. So this is a wrong consciousness, mistaken understanding. What would be the real understanding? The real understanding would be not that I don't have any ego, that I do have an ego, but the ego is that of a spirit soul, first of all. And then is that of a servant of Krishna. We are the tiny part and parcel of the Lord, and we are meant to serve him. That is our relationship with him. And this is how we will build the relationship more and more. It is through service. So this is the proper consciousness, to see oneself as a servant. And to have a higher purpose as well. The Bhagavad Gita tells us about two kinds of goals. One is prayas and one is shreyas, which means one goal is like long term. That is shreyas. And prayas means short term goals. So this is the vision of the fool here. Another thing that is in the consciousness of the devotee or the person who understands these principles of work is that he will feel great gratitude within the heart. Because he understands his own dependence, and he understands that if Krishna suddenly stops pouring rain, it will be the end of our civilization. So this is this is what is explained here in this verse, that we should actually identify ourselves as the servant of Krishna. And if we do that, then the art of work is to work as his instrument. And if we cannot do that fully, at least we should dedicate some of the fruit of our hard labor to him, to propagate the science of Krishna consciousness, basically, to engage in services in the temple and so on. Okay, I'll give you time for questions today. Lots of questions or no questions? Vimudha. This is very difficult. Even as a devotee, that I wanted to add, that even though a devotee is one who, number one, has come out of ignorance because he recognizes the presence of Krishna, and it tries to re-establish a connection. And what does it say? The devotee does not think himself independent. Devotee knows that there is dependence of Krishna, and then devotee knows there is dependence on the mercy of the Guru, there is dependence on the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So we are not independent. Devotee knows this. And a devotee does not take credit because he knows that, like today I was hearing a beautiful analogy. I think this, we heard this many times, that now I'm speaking, I'm speaking, and you are hearing on your side there in Kenya, wherever you are. And if at the end of the class, the device that you have been hearing the class with, like a mobile or a computer, if this device begins saying, wow, I gave a nice class, that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Because it's not the device that gave the class, it's Prashanta on the other side. It's not the device. So similarly, if Prashanta thinks, wow, I gave a nice class, well, Prashanta is also mistaken. Because we are only an instrument. We are an instrument of the will of Krishna. We are an instrument for passing on his message. And whenever we perform activities, we should always remember that the body comes from Krishna. The ability to act comes from Krishna. All the resources that we are using, they come from Krishna. So how can we say that the result is mine? It is not. It is never like this. So we should not identify ourselves as the doer. We should always understand that in two ways. Number one, we are not the doer because it is whatever we perform is performed through the senses, and we are not the senses. We are the soul. So in that way, we are not the doer. And secondly, we are not the ultimate doer because Krishna is the source of everything. We are only using his energy. So we are not the original doer in any case, at any time. So the best consciousness for us is to be in the mood of an instrument. This is the consciousness of the devotee. But this is something that we have to work on minute by minute, day by day, because the false ego is so heavily ingrained that as soon as somebody tells us anything, suppose somebody has painted a very nice picture, and somebody says, wow, you made such a wonderful picture. Immediately there is a little sense of acknowledgement. Oh, yes, yes, but no. So it takes a whole lifetime and many lifetimes before that to actually clear that false identification and that tendency to take the credit for everything that we do. So the life of Krishna consciousness means to, number one, remember Krishna. Number two, remember we are not this body. Number three, always know that we should be in the mood of service, that we are instruments. And we should not take the credit. If you take the credit, it means you will get the reaction as well. So, okay, so I'll hear from you now. Any questions or any comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I will keep the ball rolling. Just on what you said about the painting. So somebody's done the painting and we are saying, wow, it's a beautiful painting. And what is the mode of this person? What should he or she say? Should he say, oh, Krishna did this painting, or I did this painting for Krishna, or what is the mode of this person?
Well, we should always understand that we need to give the credit to Krishna. Not that I did not paint. I painted, but where did the creativity come from?
So the inspiration, we can say if we were inspired
The
by Krishna.
inspiration, not only the inspiration, but also the art, the power to draw. Where does this come from? And where did the paint come from? And where did the beautiful
Canvas.
The canvas, yes. Where did the canvas come from? You have to think. The canvas, it's made from usually cotton or something similar, some kind of natural material. But this comes from a plant which grew, and we heard the plants, they grow because there is rain. And this is part of a whole universal cycle, which is controlled by the Lord. And what about the ability to draw in me? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you will read a little later, I am the ability in man. So we should not just flatly take the credit. Usually what devotees say, it is Krishna's mercy. We acknowledge it is Krishna's mercy. It is Krishna's mercy, it is Guru's mercy, it is the mercy of all the people who have contributed to my life so that I could paint such a beautiful painting. So the knowledgeable person doesn't see things in isolation. The knowledgeable person sees the bigger picture and himself as a small speck there.
Thank you, Mataji. There are no questions in the chat, so I'm continuing with my questions.
I am there. Kritika, I'm burning to ask a question.
You have to write it in the chat, Mataji, but
Kritika?
but of course you can ask. Yes, Mataji.
No, because before even I forget, but Prashanta said, doer. My question is, how do we work not to be in that trap of thinking, oh, it's me, it's me and it's me and it's me. And Prashanta, and I know, we all get into that trap. So what are the steps you take? You just explained that knowing it's Krishna who's giving all the everything that we are doing is by mercy of Krishna. However, on day-to-day basis, how can we remind ourselves at every step, every second, that I am nobody, it's all Krishna's doing? Because I know we all are, I mean, at least I am in that trap.
Oops, Manasi Ganga disappeared. Okay, she's back. Yes, isn't it? That's what I said. We need to work on it moment by moment. Well, the entire process of Krishna consciousness that we are following is taking us towards that consciousness. And so everything that the sadhana that we perform is meant to free us from illusion. So everything begins with our chanting, which is the primary anga of bhakti. Everything begins with our chanting Hare Krishna. When we chant Hare Krishna, we disidentify from the body and we call out to Krishna. We cultivate our dependence on Krishna. And so everything is based on our sadhana, and we have to be very prayerful, reading, hearing, is also very favorable because it gives us reminders. Like today, we are being reminded, I'm not the doer. If we don't go to the class and we don't hear the class, then we don't get the reminder. So the Shastras, they give us a constant reminder. We should be hearing morning, evening, so that this awareness comes in the front of our consciousness. So that's very important. Hearing and chanting, that is the base. And the way that we are told to act in Krishna consciousness is that throughout the day, before we start doing anything, we should offer obeisances to the spiritual master and offer ourselves as an instrument. Suppose you are asked to give a class somewhere. So before giving the class, one has to offer obeisances to the spiritual master, and one has to beg to be used as an instrument to deliver the knowledge. And usually the devotees also pray, not to fall in the trap of taking the credit. So prayer is very important. And in devotional service, that is a major difference between Karma Yoga, which we are now studying in chapter 3, and Bhakti Yoga. In both Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, we kind of dedicate our activities to Lord Vishnu. But in Karma Yoga, it's more like after the fact, after it's done, whatever I have done, I kind of dedicate part of it to Lord Vishnu. But in Bhakti Yoga, it's not like this. There is no identification as the karta. And we dedicate our activities to Krishna before performing them. So that is a practice, and we should do that, not forget. Before doing anything, suppose you go to cook for Krishna in the deity kitchen. Before starting the cooking, you offer obeisances to the spiritual master, and you offer yourself as an instrument. So this is a very important part of our practice in Krishna consciousness, that sometimes devotees skip, just keep doing things. But action in Krishna consciousness is not about keep doing things. It's about tuning the consciousness constantly. So we first surrender to Krishna, offer ourselves to him, and then we perform the service. And then after we complete the service, we beg Krishna to please accept the service that to begin with we were doing for him, but still we beg him, please accept that service. So this helps us getting rid of, and we have to observe our psyche. If we, detect that we are taking the credit, immediately we have to rectify that. We have to offer. Srila Prabhupada said, whatever you get, you pass it on. So it doesn't apply only to Lakshmi. If somebody gives $100, what do I do with it as a devotee? I have to put it in the hundi, or I have to turn it over to the temple. Of course, there are many ways. If I'm a grihastha, I have to use it. I offer it at the feet of the deity at the home, and then it has to be used for Krishna's service. So we pass it on. So similarly, when we do things and people praise us, that praise, we must pass it on. The obeisances that people offer to us, for those who are preaching, or just by being a devotee, when you meet someone new, they'll offer you respect. What do you do with that respect? You say, thank you very much. No, we don't say thank you very much. Whatever praise, whatever respect, whatever obeisances people give, we consciously, as they are doing, as they are speaking, as they are offering dandavats, we pass it on. We say, oh my Lord, please accept. So we have to pass it on. So this is a practice. And if we don't pass it on, it stays with us and there will be reactions. So we have to pass it on, both for our own benefit and for the benefit of the people. Because when they give, they mean to give to God. When they give to a devotee, they mean to give to God. Right? And I said many times when we speak or whatever we do in Krishna consciousness, you know, if we hadn't come in touch with Srila Prabhupada, if we hadn't come in touch with Krishna, we would not be getting the praise. We would not be engaging in the activities of devotional service. So why should we take the credit? When in the first place, you know, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for our gurus, for the parampara, for Krishna himself. So we should never forget. And if we find ourselves to be forgetful, then we need to, you know, take shelter more of the holy name, take shelter of prayer. Yeah. And beg Krishna to forgive us and ask him to give us the proper vision. But this works very well if before doing any service, you surrender yourself as an instrument and work on passing on anything that is received, any profit, any praise, that has to be very consciously, actively passed on to Guru and Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. That brings us to another question. So when you're doing the japa, are you the doer or who is doing the japa then?
See, the Lord who is residing in the heart manifests himself to someone who is favorable to him. When our consciousness is favorable, the Lord appears. He is always in our heart, but he can be unmanifest or he can manifest himself. So the Lord manifests himself as the holy name, and he manifests himself at the most subtle level, and then he invades our mind and he activates our vocal cords and then the tongue and the lips, and he comes out to the world. And we think, I am chanting. And the Lord, yeah, we are chanting in the sense that we desire to chant. We desire to chant. We want to connect with Krishna. We want to call out to Krishna. The desire is ours. But it is Krishna who is manifesting. He is manifesting himself in the form of sound. And he's coming out. And as he comes out, we should catch him. He's running out. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna is running. We have to catch him with our consciousness, with eagerness. And we have to get him to enter the ear. And like this, a circle is created by which we are communicating with Krishna. Krishna is coming out, manifesting himself. We are hearing very attentively And that hearing he perceives as us being attentive to him, desiring to build a relationship.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Kruti has a question. Kruti, can you ask your question, please? Unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I want to ask, here you're saying that we are not the doer of anything. Then how does karma occur if we are not the doer of anything? That's my question.
Yes, yes. Where karma occurs when you think you are the doer. When you act desiring to enjoy the fruit with the understanding that everything belongs to you, then you take the reaction. When you think you are the doer, then the reaction comes. If you understand you are not the doer, and you cultivate your consciousness in such a way that you are acting for Krishna, then you are not the doer. So it's a matter of consciousness. If you identify as the doer and you expect that all the fruit of your activities you will enjoy, then you will enjoy them. You will take the reactions. And if you think that you are an instrument, then there will not be any reactions. This is the art of Krishna consciousness, the difference between karma and akarma. One identifies as the doer and desires to enjoy the fruit of his activities. And the other person does not identify himself neither with the body nor with the actions that he performs. And he is not acting for his own benefit, he's acting for the pleasure of Krishna. So that difference in consciousness creates the difference in the reaction.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. So the same, for example, karma and akarma. For example, if somebody wanted to eat a rasgulla, he makes it and eats it, and that is karma. But he had this desire of eating rasgulla, and then he says, I'm making it for Krishna, and he makes it for Krishna, offers it to Krishna, and eats it. So that is akarma. But it started with the desire in the mind of both the karmic and the akarmic. So is it okay to want something?
This is the beginning of life in Krishna consciousness, that we still have material desires. I want so much to eat a rasgulla. Now what to do? And because I read the Bhagavad Gita, then I understood that there is a process, which is given here in this third chapter, that you must offer in sacrifice. So I make the rasgulla exactly the way I like it. And then, because I have some knowledge, so I know God is there, and so I offer it to the Lord, and after offering, then I accept it as prasadam. So this is the process, but obviously it's not the highest form of devotional service. The highest form of devotional service is free from material desires. And one makes rasgullas for Krishna. You become a pujari in some temple, and it's your duty every day you make the rasgullas for Krishna. And you never think about tasting them, you never think about eating them. You just make them for Krishna because you've heard that Mother Yashoda makes this for Krishna, and Krishna loves milk products and milk sweets. So these are different levels of activity, and the one where you actually want to enjoy, but it is akin to karma yoga. In the sense, you're doing it ultimately, you're doing it for yourself, but because you have knowledge, you offer it to Krishna. So it's perfectly all right, and it will lead, this offering to Krishna will lead to pure devotional service in the end. So it is okay to do that. It's just that when you do that, you're not at the highest stage of devotional service. It's like 50-50, Lord. You know, actually I made it for me, but because you are there, I also made it for you. And so it's like, you know, so in the beginning it's like this. It's really 90% is for me, and 10%, okay, it's a little bit for you. And then, you know, as you grow in Krishna consciousness, then okay, it's 50-50. And then at some point, it's like, really, I really wanted to please you by making this rasgulla. So it's 80%, but just make sure that I get the maha because I really want to eat it too. So you go to 80-20, and then one day you will simply be engaged in making rasgullas for Krishna, and you will never think about tasting them. So this is the development in Krishna consciousness, and we have to be patient. You have to be patient in your spiritual life, that this transformation has to take place.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, there is a question from Galaxy J2 Core. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Galaxy J2 Core.
What a nice name.
Yeah, we have people from all over the world and different galaxies as well. Okay, till they are getting ready, I can ask another question, Mataji. So my other question was, you said in the beginning, offer it to Vishnu. And then you even said a prayer. I mean, you chanted a shloka which had Vishnu. Why did you not say Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna?
Well, here we are in the section of Karma Yoga. Okay? Karma Yoga has to do with Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of the universe. Karma Yoga is not exactly direct devotional service. Devotional service is for the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Know that both Vishnu and Krishna are the same. Vishnu is an expansion about Krishna. And so they are the same personality of Godhead, but they perform different functions. Vishnu is the one who accompanies us, and he is the creator, the source of the material universes. He is the maintainer of our body. We understood he is Rishikesh. He is the controller of the mind. He is the controller of the senses. And he is the one who is in the heart of all the living entities, who accompanies us here to be with us, because Krishna is in the spiritual world. And we left that place. We are in the spiritual world. We have the company of Krishna. He's right there. But when we come here, Krishna is not here, unless exceptionally, like 5,000 years or so ago, he descended. So at that time, he was here with us. But after that, Krishna is Svadharmopagate. He has gone back, and we are alone here. But Krishna expands in the form of Lord Vishnu and enters the heart of all the living entities and lives there as the witness, as the permitter. And he also gives us inspiration, gives us direction. So the system of sacrifice is directed towards Lord Vishnu. But when we come to Krishna consciousness, it is a step higher. We understand the existence of the spiritual world. Vishnu is lying in the ocean of causes, in the Karana ocean. He's not if you want, geographically speaking, in the spiritual world, although his position is always transcendental. But he's lying in the waters of the Karana Ocean, which are the foundation for all the universes. It is said the universes exist as sort of bubbles in the waves of the ocean of causes. And so that is Lord Vishnu, and he is the Lord of sacrifice. But when you enter the realm of devotional service, because sacrifice means I do it for myself, but because I have knowledge, I sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. But devotional service is never doing it for oneself. Devotional service, as I said, means I offer my body, my mind, my intelligence, my senses, my very self, I offer at the lotus feet of Guru to be used in the service of Krishna. That is a different consciousness. And usually that is also a different set of activities. Like in Karma Yoga, one will perform activities usually directed to the maintenance of one's body, right? People will plant seeds to get the vegetables to feed themselves. People will do any kind of activities for the maintenance of their body. They build a house, they do so many things, all the karmas. And why are they there? Usually they are simply to maintain this body, maintain the family, maintain all this status quo around ourselves. So, but devotional service is not performed to maintain our body. Devotional service is activity which is directly performed from the Lord, such as hearing about him, chanting about him, remembering him, going to the holy site of pilgrimage to see his form in the temple, offering respects to the Lord. So, and then further and further making friendship with the Lord. So these activities are nothing to do with our maintenance. They have nothing to do with the material body, and they have nothing to do with our maintenance. They are activities performed for the sake of pleasing the Lord and connecting ourselves with him. So the two are different. It's karma and there is bhakti. Bhakti karya, both of them, karma and bhakti, they are karya, means they are activity. It's an activity. Prabhupada said, you see a materialist, you see a devotee, both of them are doing the same thing, but they are not on the same platform. One will get the reactions of his work, and the other one will get liberated from this world.
Hare Krishna. Galaxy, you had unmuted yourself. Please, can you come back? Galaxy?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We can.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Esther, you talked about offering everything to Krishna, and mostly when we chant, it's a manifestation of the holy name on our tongue, and that we should grab that holy name into our ears. So I was just asking, why do I not get that taste, or what's the mind? Sorry, let me rephrase the statement. How comes that we are not able to grab that holy name if Krishna manifests it in our tongue? So we are supposed to, it means that he manifests on us, that we are supposed to continue chanting. Then why is it that we lose it? Or that why do I, like, sometimes you feel like because feelings comes with the mind. So if the feelings that I want to chant, and at the same time I'm not be able to control or to be able to grab that holy name, Why does it come?
Well, Srila Rupa Goswami has explained in the Nectar of Instruction that this is due to sickness. We are sick. And he gives the example of a sickness known as jaundice. It becomes yellow, there is high fever. It's a problem which is coming from the liver. It's a liver problem. So if somebody has jaundice, so that person, his sense of taste is altered by the disease. And when you give that person a sweet, and here it refers mostly to raw sugar or a preparation which is directly made from the juice of sugarcane. When you give that sweet item to that person and they put it on their tongue, they take it in their mouth, they will not perceive sweetness. They will perceive bitterness. But the bitterness is due to the disease, not that the nature of the sugar has changed. If the next person who is healthy next to them takes that sugar, he will enjoy the sweetness. But the one who is sick will perceive everything as bitter. So this is what is happening to us. That when we chant, we are hearing Krishna's name. Krishna is manifesting, he's right there. But we are not perceiving his sweetness or his presence to begin with. We are not perceiving all that. Why? Because we are sick. So what is the sickness? The sickness is that we are contaminated. And since time immemorial that we have been in this material world, we are contaminated with the desire to enjoy. We have material desires. We want to possess. We want to control. We want to enjoy. We are in Purush Bhava, the mood of an enjoyer. But actually, there is only one enjoyer. That is Krishna. And we are meant to be enjoyed by him. We are Prakriti. So due to that disease of material desires, karma, the desire to enjoy, we are not able to taste the sweetness of the holy name. However, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that this very sugar, which a person suffering from jaundice really doesn't like to eat because it tastes bitter, that very sugar is the medicine to cure the disease. And the patient is advised to eat sugar, to drink sugarcane juice and take molasses and what is called as gur, means brown sugar type thing. Is advised to keep taking it even though it tastes bitter like anything. Boo, I can't eat it. No, you take. And as the sugar enters the body, it cures the disease. And after some time, the sweetness, the perception of the sweetness will return. So with this beautiful analogy, Rupa Goswami has explained that even if we don't feel like chanting, if we feel chanting is so boring, or chanting is, it's not attractive to me, or it's a struggle, still we should chant. Still we should chant, because that very chanting is destroying the layers of ignorance. And as we keep chanting and chanting and chanting and chanting, and initially we don't chant very well, but the power is in the name. The name will destroy ignorance. And as ignorance gradually becomes destroyed, we will start appreciating the Holy Name.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
And Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kruti, did you have a question? Your hand was up.
Okay, well, Kruti asked, can I introduce Esther to Prashanta?
Yes.
Somehow, Prashanta, you missed her because she had traveled to Qatar. And she's one of our very first girls from the group you met. She was part of them, but she traveled to Qatar when you had visited. And she told me, don't go to India without me. But she's stranded here now. Anyway, I don't know why she's not showing her face, though. Her story is very interesting. She was watching Ramayana, and then she was looking for a temple. Everywhere they said, we don't allow Africans. And finally, again, she came back to look for a temple of Lord Ram, and some Indian said, you go to the Hare Krishna, and that's where her journey started.
Okay, I'm not seeing her here. Esther. Oh, she's okay.
Interesting.
Here.
Esther, show your face.
I'm here, Mataji.
Where is she?
I'm here.
Yes. Okay, she's there. Esther. Nice to meet you.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
You're back to Kenya?
Yeah, I'm Kenya.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, Kritika can ask her questions. I still didn't see her.
Ask your question.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I'm not sure if it's related to this verse, but I want to ask, what does Gnana Yoga mean?
Oh, Jnana Yoga. It's engaging one's intelligence and mind in trying to discern the reality from illusion. So it's actually, yoga means connection, and there are different ways to connect. The soul has to connect with the Supreme Lord. And there are different ways. Karma yoga means to connect through our activities by offering them to Krishna. And Jnana yoga means it's for people who are more intellectual in general, to try to connect to Krishna through our intelligence and mind by figuring out what is reality. This path is not recommended by Krishna, because in Jnana Yoga there is a denial of our propensity to act, which is natural propensity and actually cannot be denied. So Jnana Yoga implies a lot of suppression of the senses and the activities of the senses. It's a very difficult path. As Krishna says, it's a difficult path. It's a path full of suffering, because one has to deny the minimal, even sense gratification, in order not to arouse the senses. Typically, Jnana yogis would never eat the Sunday feast at the Hare Krishna temple because it's too good. And so they would never do that. Usually they wouldn't dance, because dancing is something which is connected to our emotions. And in Jnana Yoga, we have to go beyond the mind, meaning beyond the thought process. You have to use the thought process to take you to a certain point, and then you have to stop the thought process. You have to stop the emotional flow. You have to go beyond the thought process, beyond the images, beyond the emotions. You have to go beyond the desires. It's a very difficult path. It's not recommended by Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Are there any other questions? Please ask, raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much
Hare
for your
Krishna.
wonderful class. Yes, Mataji.
Dr. Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, one thing is that we know the spirit soul is come from the supreme soul, is Lord Krishna, and it is all pure. There is no contamination. Then how it is affected by the false ego in the material world?
Affected by what?
False ego. How
The
it is
false ego.
affected by the ego? Yes. So it means the false ego is more powerful than the soul. It looks like that, but according to this text, please give the simple answer, Mataji.
See, Srila Prabhupada has explained us two factors which contribute to our bewilderment. One is that Krishna has created the jivas as and has given us the same qualities as he has, including that he has given us free will. In other words, he has given us a small portion of his quality of being swarat, self-ruled, independent. So we have that quality of independence. This is our individuality, and we have the power of choice, and we are independent to some extent. We are not fully independent, but we have a freedom to decide. We have some independence. And then at the same time, there is another quality of ours, which is that we are infinitesimal in nature. Krishna is infinite, is Vibhu, the great, and he's infinite. And we are Anu. We are infinitesimal. So these are two opposites. He is the whole, we are the part. He is infinite, we are infinitesimal. He is infinitely big, we are infinitesimally small. He is infinitely powerful. Our power is infinitesimal. So, because there's a mixture of this sense of independence, the freedom he has given us, that's why we need always to remain in the association of devotees, and we need always to remember ourselves this, that we are not actually fully independent. The independence that the Lord has given us is free will within the context of his service. Suppose Krishna wants to go to the Yamuna, and all the coward boys are surrounding him. So they don't start saying, no, no, we don't want to go to the Yamuna. No, no, we don't want to go to the Yamuna. No, I don't want to go to the Yamuna. I want to go with that. So it's our freedom. We can oppose Krishna. You can say, no, we don't want to go to Yamuna. We want to go somewhere else. We want to go to Delhi. We want to go somewhere else. Okay? We have that freedom. But we must understand that actually our freedom is not meant to go against the will of Krishna. It is meant for initiative within the will of Krishna. As soon as Krishna says, I want to go to the Yamuna, immediately the cowards are thinking, okay, let me go first. I'll clear the way. Another one says thinking, oh, let me call the girls so we can meet at the end there. Another one thinks, oh, let me go and pick flowers so I can prepare a beautiful flower bed for Krishna when we reach there. He will be tired. So they are using their free will, their power of initiative to serve Krishna. But then if one of them thinks, I don't want to do that, that person will have a different destination, because we cannot oppose the will of Krishna, but we can act freely within his desire. We are here to help him fulfill his desires. And the living entity is infinitesimal. So you are saying, is the false ego superior to the spiritual? The material nature is also huge and powerful. The material nature belongs to Krishna. It's Devi Yesha Guramayi. It is Krishna's energy, and it's tremendous. Look at the size of the universe on the physical platform. How big is the universe? It's huge. And how big is my body in comparison to the size of the universe? It is infinitesimal. So obviously my infinitesimal little body is completely overpowered by the total material energy, which happens not to be my energy, but the energy of Krishna. So yes, we get overpowered. Because of our infinitesimal nature, we get overpowered all the time. Our freedom is to either be under the control of the material nature or to be under the control of the spiritual nature. The material nature is oppressive, is felt as oppressive. It keeps us in ignorance. And the spiritual nature, that gives us a sense of freedom. It is liberating. These are two different kinds of influences of Krishna's energy. So when we cooperate with him, we come out of the control of the material nature, but it doesn't mean that we become independent. We come under the control of the spiritual nature, and that we appreciate, we like. It's empowering, it's inspiring, it's beautiful. So this is why we are getting entangled, because of misuse of the free will. And the chance is always there, Srila Prabhupada says. So naturally the question you will ask is, why did Krishna give us this independence if it was going to put us so much in trouble?
Yes.
The answer is that the independence that Krishna has given us is both the source of great trouble and it is the source of the greatest bliss. So and Krishna is guiding us through the Shastra, through the spiritual master, how to make the best use of that independence by working for Krishna, by doing things according to his direction and his will. So what can definitely put us into a lot of trouble can also elevate us to a great position. And why did Krishna give us independence? It's because he wants love. He wants love. And love means that freely, voluntarily, one person appreciates another and becomes so inspired by the qualities of another person that we want to do something for that person. That is love. Love means to always act for another, to give, to act for another, to put oneself in the service of another. That's a sign of love. So Krishna wants people who love him with their own free will. He doesn't want slaves who will say, oh, yes, but have no feelings for him. The slaves are forced to do whatever job they do. So Krishna doesn't want slaves, and he did not create us as slaves. He created us at his own image as independently thoughtful people. Only we have to take the right track and be intelligent enough to understand our position. We are not God, he is God. We are God's servant. And so when we understand that, then we can make full use of our free will for the benefit of Krishna. And from this we will derive the greatest happiness, the greatest sense of freedom, the greatest power. But the power comes from Krishna, it doesn't come from me. It's like the rays of the sun. We are compared to the rays of the sun. If you look at the rays of the sun, they are all connected to the sun. The sun is a huge ball that's on fire. It's emanating heat and light. So when you take a ray of sun, you see, oh, it's producing heat, it's producing light. But where does that come from? It comes from the sun. So we have to acknowledge that our power comes from him. And therefore that power must be used to fulfill his desires. Is that clear, Partha?
Yes, yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. Nice explanation, Mataji. Thank you.
So it is our good fortune that we have free will.
Yes, Mataji.
Because we have
yes.
free will, we can love Krishna. Not that we are forced. No, we are never forced by Krishna.
So
Yes,
the
Mataji.
moral is to become loving devotees, not devotees.
Oh yes, prema bhakta.
Hare Krishna. Anybody with another question?
I think time is too much. It is
I just
7:45.
wanted to thank and say, my offer my humble obeisances to Prashanta Mataji on this great Teachers' Day. She has been a guru,
Oh,
a
good.
Shiksha guru, and Mansi Ganga Mataji also, always. So I can't thank all of you enough to make me a part of this group and let me learn something every day. Thank you so much, all of you. Hare Krishna, and thank you, Prashanta Mataji and Mansi Ganga Mataji and Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna Rachana.
She's from Delhi, by the way, Prashanta.
Uh-huh.
See how she sacrifices her time.
No sacrifices. No, Mansi, no.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Do you have time for one more question or should we call it?
A small question before I fall asleep, yes?
Okay, Mataji, one more question. Can you give us example of Shreyash and Preyash?
Examples of Shreyas and Prayas. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Prayas is a short-term benefit. It's a short-term benefit. So, for example, I don't know what's this. Yeah, let us see. In Kenya, we have avocados. Woo! Very, very nice avocados. Okay. So you are on the market and you see the avocados and you go like, wow, I'm buying them, 2-3 kilos, right? Little ripe, less ripe, more ripe, like this, so that I have for a week. Yeah? And so I buy the avocados and I go home if I can control myself to reach up to home. And then immediately I start cutting the avocados and eating the avocados, or I make avocado juice, or I make, what is it called, the fruit salad with avocado cream, right? So I make all this and I enjoy very nicely. And so that is the very quick benefit. Immediately, within a few minutes, I am swimming in the ocean of avocadananda. So very wonderful. Of course, if I eat too many avocados the next day, maybe my stomach will be a little upset. But okay, so what is the benefit here? It's sense pleasure. You enjoy. It's so tasty. It's so nice. I'm very happy. Very, very happy. So now this is an example of short-term benefit. And a long-term benefit is, wow, I'm on the market and I see these beautiful avocados. And immediately I think, oh, these avocados look so nice. I must offer them to Krishna. So I buy several kilos of avocados and then I go home. And it's like, not now. You can't eat the avocados now. No, 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 no. First, you go take baths, okay? And you clean yourself very nice. And then you start cleaning the avocados, cutting the avocados, preparing the fruit salad, and you prepare everything. It's taking time. And then you offer to Krishna, ding, 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 ding. And then you have to wait because Krishna is eating. So it's not now. You have to wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Krishna is eating. Then you take back the plate and then, it's all prasadam. It's all prasadam and now you can have it. Or better, you bought so many avocados, it's to distribute. So you have some guests and you serve all of them. And then in the end, a little bit of avocado is left. Little. From the several kilos, you get little avocado. So in terms of your sense gratification, you're not going to have an ocean of avocado nanda because you're getting just a little bit of what is left. But when you eat that, the benefit will be spiritual. That you have worked for Krishna, you have offered to Krishna, then you serve the devotees. So you don't get that much of enjoyment for your tongue because you get it just a little bit. But when you eat it, you feel so much bliss. You feel so much bliss. And it is an activity. You are respecting the prasada. And by doing so, you are becoming free from this attachment to the taste of avocado. You are becoming free from that. So that is the ultimate benefit. So it is a little laborious. You don't get immediate enjoyment and result, but the benefit is eternal. So that is called the Shreya, that which is good for the soul. And prayas usually is that which is good for the body. So, of course, you have to make a balance between the two, but this is the idea. Okay, is that understandable?
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much. I will not take any more questions. I'll hand over. Sorry, Mataji, to give you so much of kasht. I'll hand over to Parth Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Mataji, we have not maintained the time because we not watch the clock. It is going faster and faster. Now it is too late. But the thing is that we think this is Krishna Ras. This is the verses. Your explanation is so beautiful and so pleased. So we are forget our time limit. Forgive us, Mataji. We are taking too much time from you. We are not taking too much time. Please, I request all the participants who is join in this group, please unmute yourself and glorification of Har Prashanta Mataji. Please chant Hare Krishna mantra once. We hope we will meet you next Saturday, the coming Saturday. We hope,
Yes.
but Mansi Ganga Mataji will discuss with you. But we hope we will be meet.
We are meeting her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are
Thank you,
meeting,
Mataji.
yes.
Please chant Hare Krishna mantra once. Let the Madhma. Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna Prashanta Mataji ki
Jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for time.
Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare
Wishing
Krishna,
you all,
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
all the best, and thank you for inviting me in this forum. Always very happy to meet you.
Thank you, Mataji. We are the youngest baby you have. So the youngest baby always cries for the mother's attention. So that's why we go for more and more questions. So I hope you love us as much as we love you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, she does. That's why she keeps coming every Saturday. Yes.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Very
Mataji.
good.
Healing time.
Very well.
Hare Krishna. I'm ending the session.